If the economy is getting better, why has black unemployment risen from 5% to 8.3% in just 2 years? That's not a fluctuation, that's a signal. Because when the economy actually improves, unemployment goes down, especially for the people who do the work. So the real question isn't whether black unemployment is rising, it's why. Over the last 2 years, black workers have been quietly pushed out of the workforce while headlines celebrate a strong labor market. And this isn't about effort, it's not about education, it's not about motivation, it's about pattern. Every time the economy tightens, black labor becomes expendable. Last hired, first fired. It's happened before, after Reconstruction, during the Great Depression, after deindustrialization, and now again. When companies restructure, they cut the most flexible workers first. Contract roles, service positions, logistics, entry-level tech, the jobs where black workers are overrepresented. So when unemployment rises, it doesn't rise evenly. It targets the edges. And once the work disappears, everything else follows. Housing becomes unstable, healthcare disappears, credit tightens, and then the story shifts from systemic change to personal blame. But here's what history makes clear. Our ancestors have lived through this kind of economic pressure before, long before it was dressed up in modern language. They didn't call it a downturn, they called it survival. And when formal systems stopped working, they found other ways to stay grounded, focused, and resourced. That part of the story rarely gets told. This is part 1. In the next part, we're going to break down why this pattern repeats and how black communities historically responded when the economy stopped responding to them. Because when you understand the pattern, you stop internalizing the damage. Stay with me. What's happening right now isn't new, it's familiar. When the economy tightens, someone always absorbs the shock first, and historically, that someone has been black workers, not because of a lack of skill, but because of where we're positioned in the labor structure. Black workers are overrepresented in roles that are easiest to cut: contract work, service jobs, logistics, entry-level corporate positions. These roles are labeled flexible, which really means disposable. So when companies announce hiring freezes, they don't stop hiring, they stop open hiring. Jobs move inward, referrals replace applications, algorithms filter before humans ever look. On paper, opportunity still exists. In reality, access shrinks. At the same time, protections are quietly rolled back. Return to office mandates push out workers who relied on flexibility. DEI programs are dismantled, and bias, which never disappeared, becomes decisive again. When uncertainty rises, institutions retreat to what feels safe, and safe has never been fair. This is how unemployment rises without headlines. This is how displacement happens quietly. But our ancestors recognized this pattern long before we had charts and percentages. They understood something crucial. When the external system becomes unstable, the internal system has to become stronger. During economic hardship, spiritual practices weren't about escape. They were about regulation, regulating fear, regulating focus, regulating expectation. Prayer, ritual, repetition, these weren't superstitions. They were tools to keep people from collapsing under pressure, to keep households disciplined, to keep minds from spiraling into despair. Because panic makes people vulnerable, and clarity makes people resilient. Our ancestors used spiritual practice to stabilize themselves when the economy refused to. That knowledge didn't disappear. It was dismissed, mocked, criminalized, but it worked, and that's why it survived. This is part 2. In the next part, we're going to talk about how these practices can still be used today, not to deny reality, but to move through it with intention. Because economic pressure isn't just a financial problem, it's a psychological one. And history shows us exactly how our people endured it. By now, the pattern should be clear. Black unemployment rising from 5% to 8.3% isn't random. It's part of a recurring cycle where economic pressure removes black workers first and asks them to carry the blame afterward. But history tells a fuller story. Our ancestors didn't survive economic collapse by ignoring reality. They survived by stabilizing themselves inside it. When wages disappeared, they worked on what couldn't be taken: focus, discipline, expectation. Spiritual practice wasn't about pretending everything was fine. It was about staying clear-headed when everything wasn't. So here's a practice our people used during economic uncertainty, one you can use right now, not to escape the moment, but to move through it with intention. At the same time each day, sit quietly with a glass of water. Add a small pinch of salt. Nothing elaborate, nothing performative. This was done in kitchens, bedrooms, and shared spaces, often in silence. As you sit, place your attention on your breath and speak one statement out loud. I remain resourced, alert, and supported even in tightening times. That's it. This isn't about money appearing overnight. This practice helps calm the nervous system, reduce panic-based decisions, increase clarity. Because when the mind runs the fear, opportunity goes unnoticed. But when the mind is steady, you move differently. Our ancestors understood this. They used ritual to remind themselves that systems rise and fall, but they remained. The economy may tighten, jobs may disappear, but clarity, discipline, and awareness are still available. This is how cycles are survived. If you want to understand these practices more deeply, where they come from, why they worked, and how they were used to break generational patterns, Hoodoo for the Hood 3, Breaking the Chains of Poverty, documents this knowledge in full. The link is in the bio, not as a promise, but as a guide. If this series resonated with you, comment your thoughts. What are you noticing in the economy right now? Because these conversations matter, and what we understand together, we don't have to face alone.